Hello, brave English learners. Welcome to Artificial Fluency Podcast. I'm Emma, and today we're going to tackle something that I know many of you are struggling with right now, feeling stuck at the intermediate level and wondering if you'll ever feel truly confident speaking English. If you've been learning English for months or even years, if you can understand quite a lot but still feel nervous about speaking, if you sometimes think, I should be better by now, then this episode is specifically designed for you. You are not alone in feeling this way, and more importantly, you are not stuck forever. Today's episode is called Conquer Intermediate English, and I chose that word conquer very deliberately. This isn't about gently improving or slowly progressing. This is about taking control of your English learning journey and breaking through the barriers that have been holding you back. We're going to explore 3 powerful areas that will transform your intermediate English experience. First, we'll identify and destroy the plateau trap, that frustrating feeling of not progressing that affects almost every intermediate learner. Then, we'll build unshakable speaking confidence using proven psychological techniques and practical strategies. Finally, we'll create your personal action plan for achieving true fluency breakthrough. But here's what I want you to understand from the very beginning. Being at intermediate level is actually a position of power. You have strong foundations, you understand complex ideas, and you're closer to fluency than you realize. The difference between feeling stuck and feeling confident often comes down to mindset shifts and strategic practice rather than learning thousands of new words. I've helped hundreds of intermediate students break through to advanced levels, and I've seen the same patterns repeatedly. The students who succeed aren't necessarily the smartest or the most naturally gifted. They're the ones who understand how to work with their intermediate level brain rather than against it. Today, you're going to learn exactly how to do that. You're going to understand why you feel stuck, what you can do about it, and how to create momentum that carries you all the way to confident fluency. Are you ready to stop feeling frustrated and start feeling powerful? Let's conquer intermediate English together. Let's start by talking about something that almost every intermediate English learner experiences but rarely discusses openly: the plateau trap. This is that frustrating period where you feel like you're not improving, where your English seems to have stopped getting better, and where you start questioning whether you'll ever reach the level you want. Understanding the intermediate plateau. First, let me tell you something that might surprise you. Experiencing a plateau at intermediate level is not a sign that something is wrong with your learning. It's actually a sign that something is going very right. Plateaus happen because your brain is doing incredibly complex work beneath the surface, consolidating everything you've learned and preparing for the next leap forward. Think of it like this. When you were a beginner, every new word felt like a huge victory. Learning "how are you" or "where is the bathroom" gave you an immediate sense of progress because you went from knowing nothing to knowing something useful. But at intermediate level, the improvements are more subtle and internal. You might learn a new grammar structure, but it doesn't feel revolutionary because you already know so many structures. You might expand your vocabulary, but it doesn't feel dramatic because you already know thousands of words. The progress is happening, but it's harder to see and feel. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. Last year, I worked with a student named Anna who came to me feeling completely frustrated. She said, "Emma, I've been studying English for 3 years. I can understand movies, I can read articles, I can communicate at work, but I still don't feel fluent. I feel like I'm not improving anymore." When I analyzed Anna's actual abilities, I discovered something fascinating. In the past 6 months, she had significantly improved her ability to understand different accents. Her grammar accuracy had increased by about 30%, and she was using much more sophisticated vocabulary in her emails. But because these improvements happened gradually, she didn't notice them. This is the plateau illusion, the feeling that you're not improving when you actually are. Your expectations of progress change as you become more advanced, making real improvements feel less significant. The hidden progress you're already making. Right now, as an intermediate learner, you're making progress in ways that you probably don't recognize. Let me help you see some of these hidden improvements. Automatic processing development. When you first learned English, you had to think consciously about every word and grammar rule. Now, much of your English happens automatically. You're not thinking about subject-verb agreement when you say, "She works in marketing." It just comes out correctly. This automaticity is a huge advancement that feels invisible because it's so smooth. Cultural understanding growth. You're not just learning language anymore, you're absorbing cultural patterns, humor styles, and communication norms. When you understand why someone says "not too bad" instead of "good," you're demonstrating sophisticated cultural competence that goes far beyond vocabulary and grammar. Contextual flexibility. As a beginner, you learned English phrases in specific situations. Now, you can adapt your language to different contexts: formal emails, casual conversations, professional presentations. This flexibility represents massive cognitive development. Error recognition improvement. You've probably noticed that you catch your own mistakes more often now. This isn't a sign that you're making more errors, it's evidence that your internal English monitor has become much more sophisticated. Why traditional study methods stop working. One reason many intermediate learners feel stuck is that they continue using beginner study methods that are no longer effective for their level. Let me explain why this happens and what to do instead. The textbook trap. Many intermediate learners continue working through grammar textbooks and vocabulary lists, but your brain no longer needs this type of systematic input. You need integration practice, not more isolated learning. The perfection paralysis. Beginners are excited to communicate despite many mistakes. Intermediate learners often become perfectionists, avoiding communication because they're aware of their imperfections. This perfectionism actually slows progress. The comfort zone stagnation. Intermediate learners often stick to familiar topics and situations because they can handle them comfortably. But comfort zones don't create growth, challenge zones do. I remember working with David, an intermediate student who spent hours every day studying grammar rules and memorizing vocabulary lists. He was frustrated because despite all this effort, his speaking didn't improve. When we shifted his focus to challenging conversations about topics he cared about, his fluency improved dramatically within weeks. The confidence-competence loop. One of the most destructive aspects of the plateau trap is how it affects your confidence. Here's what typically happens. You notice that progress feels slower, so you assume you're not improving. This makes you less confident about using English. When you're less confident, you avoid challenging situations. When you avoid challenges, you actually do stop improving, confirming your fears. This creates what I call the confidence-competence death spiral. Low confidence leads to avoidance, which leads to stagnation, which leads to lower confidence. Breaking this cycle is crucial for escaping the plateau. The good news is that this loop works in reverse too. Small confidence gains lead to more practice, which leads to improvement, which leads to more confidence. The key is finding ways to trigger this positive cycle. Redefining progress at intermediate level. To escape the plateau trap, you need to change how you measure progress. Beginner progress is quantitative: more words, more grammar rules, more expressions. Intermediate progress is qualitative: better pronunciation, more natural expression, greater cultural understanding. Here are some ways to recognize intermediate progress. Fluency markers. You speak in longer chunks without pausing. You self-correct automatically. You can handle interruptions without losing your train of thought. Comprehension depth. You understand implications and subtext, not just literal meaning. You catch humor and cultural references. You can follow complex discussions with multiple speakers. Expression sophistication. You can explain the same idea in multiple ways. You adjust your language style for different audiences. You can handle abstract and complex topics. Communication effectiveness. People understand you easily despite minor errors. You can negotiate meaning when communication breaks down.
You feel comfortable expressing your personality in English.
The breakthrough mindset shift. The most important change you can make is shifting from a learning mindset to a using mindset. Instead of thinking, I'm still learning English, start thinking, I use English to accomplish things I care about. This shift is powerful because it changes your relationship with the language. When you're in learning mode, every mistake feels like failure. When you're in using mode, mistakes are just part of communication, the same way they are in your native language. I saw this transformation clearly with my student Carlos. He spent months frustrated with his imperfect English until he started volunteering as a tour guide for international visitors. Suddenly, he was using English as a tool to share his passion for his city rather than as a subject to study. His confidence and fluency improved rapidly because his focus shifted from performance to communication. Strategic challenge selection. To escape the plateau, you need to systematically challenge yourself in the right ways. The key is finding your challenge sweet spot, activities that are difficult enough to promote growth, but not so difficult that they're overwhelming. The 80-20 rule. Look for activities where you understand about 80% and are challenged by 20%. This ratio keeps you engaged while ensuring consistent growth. Passion-driven challenges. Choose challenging content related to your interests and goals. You'll tolerate difficulty much better when you care about the topic. Skill-specific targeting. Identify your weakest skill area and focus extra attention there while maintaining your stronger skills. Progressive difficulty. Gradually increase challenge levels rather than jumping to extremely difficult content. Creating progress momentum. Once you understand the plateau trap, you can start creating momentum to escape it. Here are specific strategies that work for intermediate learners. Documentation strategy. Keep a weekly journal of your English accomplishments, conversations you handled, content you understood, ideas you expressed successfully. This creates visible evidence of progress. Micro-challenge habit. Set small daily challenges that push you slightly outside your comfort zone. This could be commenting on an English social media post, asking a question in a video call, or explaining a complex idea to yourself out loud. Success pattern recognition. Pay attention to situations where your English flows naturally and try to understand what makes those moments work. Then deliberately create more similar situations. Community connection. Find other intermediate learners to share experiences with. Realizing that your struggles are normal and temporary helps maintain motivation during difficult periods. The plateau as preparation. Finally, I want you to reframe how you think about plateaus. Instead of seeing them as stagnation, view them as preparation periods. Your brain is consolidating massive amounts of information and preparing for the next breakthrough. During plateau periods, focus on deepening your understanding of concepts you already know, expanding your comfort zone, building habits that will support future growth, maintaining motivation and patience with the process. Remember, every advanced English speaker has experienced multiple plateaus. They're not roadblocks, they're necessary stops on the journey to fluency. The students who reach advanced levels aren't the ones who never experience plateaus, they're the ones who learn to work productively during plateau periods. Now let's tackle the challenge that keeps most intermediate learners awake at night: speaking confidence. You might understand English beautifully, you might write well, but when it comes to opening your mouth and speaking, especially with native speakers or in important situations, the confidence just isn't there. The confidence paradox. Here's something that might seem contradictory. Most intermediate learners have much more speaking ability than speaking confidence. You already have the vocabulary, grammar, and knowledge needed for most conversations. What you're missing isn't language skills, it's the psychological comfort to use those skills freely. This is what I call the confidence paradox. You need confidence to practice speaking, but you need to practice speaking to build confidence. So how do you break into this cycle?
The answer is understanding that confidence isn't something you wait to feel, it's something you build through strategic action. Every time you speak English despite feeling nervous, you're making a confidence deposit. Every time you handle a conversation successfully, even with mistakes, you're proving to yourself that you can communicate effectively.
Understanding speaking anxiety. Before we build confidence, let's understand what's really happening when you feel nervous about speaking English. When your heart rate increases before speaking, when you feel your mind go blank, when you suddenly can't remember words you know perfectly well, these aren't signs of poor English ability. They're normal physiological responses to perceived challenges. Your brain is trying to protect you from the danger of making mistakes or being judged. Of course, speaking English isn't actually dangerous, but your nervous system doesn't always know the difference between real threats and social challenges. The good news is that you can train your nervous system to feel calmer during English conversations. This isn't about eliminating nerves completely. Even native speakers feel nervous in challenging situations. It's about reducing anxiety to manageable levels where it doesn't interfere with your ability to communicate. The foundation: self-talk transformation. The first step in building speaking confidence is changing how you talk to yourself about English. Most intermediate learners have incredibly harsh internal critics that would never be so cruel to a friend. Listen to some common self-talk patterns I hear from students. I'm so stupid, I can't even say this simple word correctly. Everyone must think my English is terrible. I should be better by now, I've been studying for years. Native speakers probably don't want to deal with my broken English. Now imagine saying these things to a friend who was learning your native language. You'd never be so mean, right? You'd be encouraging, patient, and proud of their efforts. You need to become that supportive friend to yourself. Here are some empowering self-talk alternatives. I'm brave for using a second language to communicate. My English allows me to connect with people around the world. Every conversation makes me a little bit better. Most people appreciate my effort to speak their language. The preparation strategy: confidence through readiness. One of the fastest ways to build speaking confidence is through strategic preparation. This doesn't mean memorizing scripts. That actually makes you more nervous because real conversations don't follow scripts. Instead, it means building a toolkit of expressions and strategies that work in many situations. Situation-specific preparation. Before important English situations, prepare key phrases and responses for likely scenarios. If you're going to a business meeting, practice explaining your main points. If you're going to a social event, prepare conversation starters and personal stories. Recovery phrase arsenal. Develop automatic responses for common speaking challenges. When you don't understand, could you repeat that more slowly? When you can't find a word, how do you say, or I mean? When you make a mistake, sorry, let me rephrase that. When you need thinking time, that's a good question, let me think. Personal story bank. Prepare 5 to 10 personal stories that you can tell fluently. These give you confident speaking territory that you can return to in any conversation. Practice these stories until they flow naturally. Progressive exposure therapy. Building speaking confidence is like building physical strength. You start with manageable challenges and gradually increase the difficulty. Here's a systematic approach. Level 1. Solo practice. Start by speaking English alone without any pressure. Talk to yourself about your day, explain concepts out loud, or read articles aloud. This builds the physical habit of producing English sounds without social anxiety. Level 2. Low-stakes interactions. Practice with cashiers, waiters, or customer service representatives. These interactions are brief, task-focused, and low pressure, perfect for building confidence with everyday English. Level 3. Structured conversations. Join language exchange apps, conversation groups, or online tutoring sessions. These contexts are designed for practice, so mistakes are expected and accepted. Level 4. Professional/academic settings.
Gradually engage more in work meetings, academic discussions, or professional networking events. The stakes are higher, but your confidence foundation is stronger. Level 5. Social fluency. The ultimate goal: feeling comfortable in unstructured social situations like parties, casual meetups, or spontaneous conversations. The power of perspective shifts. Sometimes confidence comes from simply changing how you view English conversations. Here are some perspective shifts that have transformed my students' speaking experiences. From performance to communication. Stop thinking of speaking as a performance that can be judged. Instead, think of it as communication with a purpose, sharing ideas, getting information, building relationships. From perfection to connection. Perfect English isn't the goal. Effective communication is. Native speakers make mistakes too. Focus on whether people understand you, not whether your grammar is perfect. From judgment to curiosity. Most people aren't evaluating your English critically. They're focused on the conversation content and their own responses. And if they are helpful with corrections, that's support, not criticism. From embarrassment to pride. Speaking a second language is an impressive accomplishment. Even with mistakes and imperfections, you're doing something many people never attempt. Confidence-building exercises. Here are specific exercises that build speaking confidence systematically. The daily report. Every day, spend 5 minutes talking to yourself about your day in English. Describe what happened, how you felt, what you learned. This builds fluency with topics you know well. The explanation challenge. Practice explaining things you understand well. Your job, your hobbies, your opinions on current events. Teaching or explaining builds confidence because you're the expert on these topics. The phone practice. Make phone calls in English when possible. Phone conversations remove visual cues and body language, forcing you to rely purely on your speaking skills. Start with simple calls like restaurant reservations. The recording review. Record yourself speaking about different topics, then listen back without judgment. Focus on what you communicated successfully rather than mistakes. This helps you hear your progress objectively. The conversation challenge. Set weekly goals for English conversations, maybe 3 meaningful conversations per week. Track these to see your growing comfort with different situations. Handling mistakes gracefully. One of the biggest confidence killers is the fear of making mistakes. But here's a secret. Confident speakers aren't people who never make mistakes. They're people who handle mistakes gracefully and keep the conversation flowing. Mistake recovery strategies. Self-correct quickly without over-apologizing. Sorry, I meant to say. Ask for help when needed. What's the word for? Use approximation. It's like or it's similar to. Continue the conversation despite small errors. Reframe mistakes as learning. Every mistake teaches you something and makes future communication clearer. Mistakes aren't failures. They're data points that help you improve. Building conversation skills. Confidence grows when you have reliable strategies for managing conversations. Here are key skills that make every conversation easier. Active listening. Focus genuinely on understanding the other person. This takes pressure off your speaking performance and makes conversations more natural. Question asking. Good questions keep conversations flowing and show engagement. Prepare interesting questions for different situations. Storytelling. Develop the ability to share experiences engagingly. Stories make conversations personal and memorable. Opinion expression. Practice stating your views clearly and respectfully. Having opinions makes you an interesting conversation partner. Transition management. Learn to change topics smoothly, return to previous points, and navigate conversation flow naturally. Creating supportive speaking environments. Your speaking confidence will grow faster in supportive environments. Actively seek out situations where mistakes are welcomed as part of learning. People are patient and encouraging. The focus is on communication rather than evaluation. You can practice without high stakes or pressure. This might include language meetups, conversation groups, online communities, or friendships with other language learners or supportive native speakers. The confidence action loop. Remember, confidence and action reinforce each other. The more you speak, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the more willing you are to speak. Your job is to start this positive cycle, even when you don't feel ready. Every conversation is an investment in your future fluency. Even awkward conversations, even conversations with mistakes, even conversations where you struggle, they all contribute to your growing confidence and skill.
Now that we've addressed the plateau trap and built your speaking confidence foundation, let's create your personal action plan for achieving fluency breakthrough. This isn't a vague study more recommendation. This is a specific, strategic plan designed for intermediate learners ready to take control of their English journey. Defining your fluency target. Before creating your action plan, you need a clear definition of what fluency means for you personally. Fluency isn't a single destination, it's a range of abilities that vary based on your goals and needs. Professional fluency. You can participate confidently in work meetings, give presentations, write professional emails, and handle business relationships in English. Academic fluency. You can follow lectures, participate in class discussions, write research papers, and engage with academic content in your field. Social fluency. You can maintain friendships, understand humor, engage in casual conversations, and feel comfortable in social situations. Cultural fluency. You understand cultural references, social norms, and communication styles beyond just language mechanics. Most people need a combination of these, but identifying your priorities helps focus your efforts effectively. A software engineer might prioritize professional and technical fluency, while someone planning to study abroad might focus on academic and social fluency. The 90-day breakthrough framework. Based on my experience with hundreds of intermediate students, meaningful fluency breakthrough typically takes about 90 days of strategic, consistent effort. This isn't because you'll learn everything in 90 days, it's because 90 days is enough time too. Break old learning habits and establish new ones. See significant confidence improvements. Experience several small breakthroughs that build momentum. Develop systems that support continued long-term growth. Month 1, Foundation Strengthening, days 1 to 30. Week 1 to 2, Assessment and Goal Setting. Your first 2 weeks focus on honest assessment of your current abilities and strategic goal setting. Speaking assessment. Record yourself speaking for 10 minutes about a topic you're passionate about. Don't prepare or script, just speak naturally. Analyze this recording for fluency, smoothness, pausing patterns, accuracy, grammar and pronunciation errors, complexity, vocabulary sophistication, sentence structures, confidence, energy, hesitation patterns. Listening assessment. Test yourself with content at various difficulty levels: news broadcasts, academic lectures, casual conversations, movies without subtitles. Real-world challenge inventory. List actual English situations you encounter or want to handle better. These become your practice targets. Specific goal setting. Instead of improve my English, set specific goals like participate confidently in weekly team meetings or have 30-minute conversations with native speakers without major communication breakdowns. Week 3 to 4, habit installation. These weeks focus on installing daily habits that will drive your progress for the next 90 days. Daily speaking practice, 20 minutes. 5 minutes, shadow native speakers. Repeat after podcasts/videos. 10 minutes, self-directed speaking on rotating topics. 5 minutes, record and review yourself speaking. Daily listening immersion, 30 minutes. Choose content slightly above your current comfort level. Focus on authentic materials, news, podcasts, interviews. Practice both focused listening and background exposure. Weekly challenge system. Week 3, have 3 conversations with strangers in English. Week 4, participate actively in one group discussion or meeting. Month 2, skill integration, days 31 to 60. Week 5 to 6, communication competence. Focus shifts to using your existing knowledge more effectively, rather than learning new material. Conversation strategy development. Learn to ask follow-up questions naturally. Practice expressing opinions with supporting reasons. Develop techniques for handling misunderstandings. Build skills for managing conversation flow. Pronunciation clarity. Identify your 3 biggest pronunciation challenges. Practice minimal pairs and problem sounds daily. Focus on word stress and sentence rhythm. Record yourself reading news articles aloud. Vocabulary activation. Instead of learning new words, focus on using words you already know more naturally and frequently. Practice expressing the same ideas using different vocabulary. Week 7 to 8, confidence building through experience. These weeks prioritize real-world practice over study. Structured social practice. Join conversation groups or language meetups. Engage in online discussions about topics you care about. Find conversation partners for regular practice sessions. Volunteer in situations requiring English communication. Professional communication practice. Volunteer to lead meetings or give presentations. Engage more actively in work discussions. Write and revise important emails carefully. Seek feedback from English-speaking colleagues. Week 9-10. Advanced Challenge Integration. Now you're ready for challenges that would have been overwhelming at the beginning. Complex communication tasks. Debate controversial topics respectfully. Explain abstract concepts clearly. Handle conflict or disagreement in English. Give impromptu speeches or presentations. Cultural fluency development. Watch content without subtitles regularly. Engage with humor and cultural references. Practice understanding implied meanings. Participate in cultural discussions online. Week 11-12. Consolidation and momentum building. The final weeks focus on consolidating your gains and building systems for continued growth. Progress documentation. Record yourself speaking about the same topic from day 1. Compare your confidence and fluency improvements. Document specific breakthroughs and achievements. Identify areas for continued development. Long-term system creation. Establish maintenance routines for continued growth. Build ongoing challenge progression plans. Create accountability systems and regular assessments. Plan next phase learning goals and strategies. Daily routine framework. Your daily routine is the engine that powers this 90-day transformation. Here's a framework that works for most intermediate learners. Morning, 15 minutes. Preparation. Review goals and intentions for the day. Practice key phrases for planned English interactions. Listen to news or podcasts during commute/breakfast. Midday, 10 minutes. Active practice. Look for English conversation opportunities. Send emails or messages in English. Comment on social media posts in English. Evening, 25 minutes. Skill development. 15 minutes. Focused speaking or listening practice. 10 minutes. Reflection and progress tracking. Weekly, 2 hours. Intensive practice. Conversation groups or language exchanges. Challenging content consumption. Movies, lectures, comprehensive practice sessions. Overcoming common obstacles. During your 90-day journey, you'll face predictable challenges. Here's how to handle them. Week 2-3, initial enthusiasm decline. This is normal. Focus on maintaining habits rather than motivation. Motivation fluctuates, but habits create consistency. Week 5-6, plateau feeling. You might feel like progress has slowed. This is often when the most important consolidation is happening. Trust the process and maintain your routine. Week 8-9, challenge overwhelm. As tasks get more difficult, you might feel overwhelmed. Scale back slightly, but don't stop. Progress isn't always linear. Week 11-12, goal achievement anxiety. As you approach your goals, you might feel nervous about whether you've really improved. Focus on specific evidence of progress rather than feelings. Measuring progress effectively. Traditional measures like test scores don't capture fluency improvements well. Use these indicators instead. Fluency markers. Longer stretches of continuous speech. Fewer hesitations and self-corrections. Ability to recover from mistakes quickly. More natural rhythm and intonation. Confidence indicators.
willingness to participate in challenging situations, reduced anxiety before English interactions, ability to express complex ideas despite imperfections, enjoyment of English conversations, communication effectiveness, fewer misunderstandings in conversations, ability to explain things multiple ways, success in achieving communication goals, positive feedback from conversation partners, building your support network. Fluency breakthrough rarely happens in isolation. Build a network that supports your progress. Practice partners. Find regular conversation partners with complementary goals and schedules. Mentors. Connect with advanced speakers who can provide guidance and perspective. Peer learners. Build relationships with other intermediate learners for mutual support and motivation. Professional support. Consider working with teachers or coaches for specific skill development. Family/friends. Help your personal network understand your goals and how they can support your practice.
Creating accountability systems. External accountability significantly increases your chances of success. Progress sharing. Regularly update others on your progress and challenges. Commitment devices. Make public commitments to specific goals and deadlines. Regular check-ins. Schedule weekly assessment sessions with yourself or others. Challenge partners. Find someone also working toward fluency goals for mutual accountability. Long-term sustainability. Your 90-day plan should create momentum for lifelong fluency development. Habit integration. The habits you build should feel natural and sustainable beyond 90 days. Continuous challenge. Always have slightly challenging goals that push your comfort zone. Community maintenance. Stay connected with English-speaking communities and relationships. Regular assessment. Periodically reassess your goals and adjust your strategies accordingly. Remember, fluency isn't a destination you reach and then maintain without effort. It's an ongoing process of growth, challenge, and adaptation. Your 90-day breakthrough is just the beginning of a lifetime journey with English. As we reach the end of our journey together today, I want you to take a moment to recognize something powerful. You've just spent an hour investing in your transformation from frustrated intermediate learner to confident English speaker. That's not just time spent listening, that's time spent preparing for the breakthrough that's coming. Your transformation mindset. Before you continue with your day, I need you to make a crucial mindset shift. Stop thinking of yourself as just an intermediate learner and start thinking of yourself as an English speaker on the path to mastery. This isn't about fake confidence or wishful thinking. This is about recognizing the truth of where you are in your journey. You already communicate effectively in English. You understand complex ideas, you express your thoughts, and navigate daily situations successfully. Yes, you want to improve. That's what makes you ambitious, not inadequate. The fact that you're not satisfied with good enough shows you have the mindset of someone destined for fluency. Your immediate action steps. Success comes from consistent action, not just understanding. Before this week ends, I want you to take these specific steps. Step 1. Define your fluency target. Write down exactly what fluency means for you. Be specific. Not speak better, but confidently participate in work meetings without feeling anxious, or have 30-minute conversations about topics I'm passionate about. Step 2. Choose your first challenge. Pick one specific speaking challenge you'll complete this week. Maybe it's starting a conversation with a colleague, calling a business to ask questions, or joining an online discussion. Choose something that feels slightly scary but definitely achievable. Step 3. Install your daily habit. Commit to 15 minutes of daily speaking practice. It could be shadowing podcasts, talking to yourself about your day, or recording voice messages. The key is consistency, not perfection. Step 4. Find your community. Identify one way you'll connect with other English speakers this month. Whether it's online conversation groups, local meetups, or conversation exchange apps, take the first step toward building your practice community. Your plateau is not permanent.
I want to address something that might be weighing on your mind. If you've been feeling stuck at intermediate level for months or even years, you might worry that you'll never break through. Let me be absolutely clear. Your plateau is not permanent. Every advanced English speaker has experienced multiple plateaus. They're not signs of failure, they're necessary phases of development. The difference between people who break through and people who stay stuck isn't talent or natural ability. It's understanding how to work productively during plateau periods and maintaining belief in future breakthrough. Your breakthrough is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how. The strategies we've discussed today are your how. Your commitment to consistent action determines your when. The ripple effect of your fluency. Remember that achieving English fluency will impact every area of your life. Career opportunities will expand, educational possibilities will multiply, relationships will deepen, travel experiences will become richer, cultural understanding will broaden. But perhaps most importantly, the confidence and resilience you build through conquering English will transfer to every other challenge you face. The problem-solving skills, the persistence through difficulty, the courage to be imperfect while working toward mastery, these qualities will serve you for the rest of your life. Your support system. You're not alone in this journey. Our English learning community is full of people facing similar challenges, celebrating similar victories, and supporting each other's growth. When you share your struggles and successes, you not only get support, but also inspire others who are at similar stages in their journey. I encourage you to connect with our community through our website, social media, or local English learning groups. Share your breakthrough goals, celebrate your daily wins, and ask for support when you need it. Learning thrives in community, and your progress accelerates when you're surrounded by people who understand your goals. Looking forward. Next week, we'll be exploring English for career success, specific strategies for using your developing language skills to advance professionally, whether that's acing job interviews, leading international meetings, or building global professional networks. But for now, focus on this week's commitment to conquering your intermediate plateau. Trust the process, be patient with yourself, and remember that every conversation, every practice session, every small risk you take is moving you closer to the fluency you desire. Final words of encouragement. Before I let you go, I want to share something personal. I've worked with thousands of English learners over the years, and I've never met anyone who genuinely committed to breakthrough strategies who didn't eventually achieve their fluency goals. Not everyone does it on the same timeline, not everyone takes the same path, but everyone who persists and applies proven strategies gets there. You have everything you need to conquer intermediate English. You have the knowledge base, you have the practical strategies, and most importantly, you have the determination that brought you to this podcast today. What you need now is consistent action and faith in the process. Your English fluency journey is one of the most valuable investments you'll ever make in yourself. It opens doors you can't even imagine yet, creates opportunities that don't exist without language skills, and connects you to a global community of people and ideas. Don't let another month pass feeling frustrated or stuck. Don't spend another year wishing your English were better. Take control of your learning journey today. Implement the strategies we've discussed, commit to consistent practice, and trust that your breakthrough is closer than you think. Thank you for sharing this hour with me. Thank you for your commitment to growth and your courage to keep pushing forward even when progress feels slow. You inspire me every day, and I believe completely in your ability to achieve the fluency you're working toward. Until next week, keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and remember, you're not stuck, you're building momentum for breakthrough. This is Emma, cheering you on every step of your English fluency journey. You've got this.